Today we'll go hands-on with Rise of the Argonauts and introduce you to the new Lara Croft model.
Plus, we'll have the latest on Wolfenstein and the new Brett Favre cover from Madden 09. X-Play starts right now.
Hello and welcome to X-Play, home of the fighting joysticks. I'm Adam Sessler.
And I'm Morgan Webb. We're coming to you from the G4 studios in Los Angeles on Tuesday, August 12th.
On today's show, we'll preview the fast-paced vertical action of Dark Void. Really, how can you go wrong with a game that lets you hijack UFOs?
I don't know if you can. Then Pro Gamer Keith Squared will be here with some tips to keep your body count up in Call of Duty 4. You'll find out what explosives give you the biggest edge in the competition. And we've got the latest preview from Zero Punctuation. But first, we need to get all of today's top stories in the gaming update.
Madden fans rejoice. Electronic Arts has released new cover art for Madden NFL 09 featuring Brett Favre with the Jets. Football fans, especially those outside of Green Bay who want to download the new cover skins from the EA Sports website, can print out and slip in the newly photoshopped cover over their game. Fans can also download a new roster update today that features Favre as the starting quarterback of the New York Jets. Next, we have the inside scoop on how you might be able to score a limited edition pair of Madden-themed promo shoes. Reebok has produced a few hundred pairs of the shoes, most of them for celebrities, but Madden fans have a chance to win a pair by participating in an upcoming Madden tournament in Los Angeles on August 17th. With the release of Tomb Raider Underworld still a little over 3 months away, Eidos Interactive, the game's publisher, has revealed a new Lara Croft spokesmodel. Enter the 23-year-old receptionist Allison Carroll, who beat out hundreds of other girls for the role. To brush up her Tomb Raider skills, Allison will take lessons in RPG. Tomb Raider Underworld is out on November 21st. And finally, Huawei has decided to enforce a strategic workforce reduction and is laying off 90 to 130 employees from their Austin studio. The layoffs are the result of the publisher's decision to cancel an ambitious free-roaming crime game previously titled Criminal. Midway says they do not have any plans to close the Austin studio. That's it for today's gaming update. For the latest news, be sure to check out our website, g4tv.com/xplay. Now let's go over to Morgan, who has sailed 6 of the 7 seas.
Can't get into the Red Sea. Some people will do anything for love, except Meatloaf. He won't do that. But in the case of Jason, he'll travel to the ends of the earth with a crew full of mythological heroes to bring his beloved wife back from the dead. Rise of the Argonauts is a new RPG that follows this adventure, and we're about to go hands-on. In Rise of the Argonauts, you take control of Jason, a Greek king who's searching for the Golden Fleece. This magical artifact will give our hero the ability to resurrect the love of his life, who was assassinated at their wedding. This epic hack-and-slash RPG features an alliance of well-known warriors, mythological creatures, vast landscapes, and the ability to favor the gods in order to strengthen your abilities. Each god offers different powers, so choose wisely. Joining us today, lead designer at Liquid Entertainment, Charlie Price. Thank you so much for dropping by and bringing us Rise of the Argonauts.
My pleasure.
All right, what kind of game is this that we're looking at? Is it hack and slash? I hear rumors of RPG.
Yeah, really at its core with Rise of the Argonauts, we wanted to recreate sort of the experience of playing a myth. And so in many ways what we have is what we call a true action RPG. A lot of action RPGs really end up falling on one side of the fence or the other. And so we really tried to deliver on both halves of that promise. So you'll see all the action in the game is real time. It's extremely visceral. We've got a lot of real-time collision going on. We represent a lot of that stuff in the world. So you'll notice that there's not a lot of HUD. All the damage that people take is actually represented on their bodies. We use shields and everything else. But at the same time, we wanted to, again, bring the world of mythological Greece to life. You know, in many ways, it's kind of like the ultimate fantasy setting. Everybody already knows the characters and the stories. And so we wanted to see what it's like for the player to play in a world where the gods are always watching. And what's it like to go through and do that. So actually, the way in which Jason grows and progresses throughout the game, as he would in an RPG, is actually based on his favor with the gods.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the RPG elements that are in there. Right now, we're looking at hack and slash, but when, how are we going to see some RPG?
Well, one of the really cool things that I just mentioned is that the gods are watching Jason at all times. He actually has 4 patron deities that watch over him that's established early on in the game. Ares, the god of war, Athena, the goddess of justice, Hermes, the god of cunning and trickery, and Apollo, the god of enlightenment and sort of compassion. And so every single dialogue choice that you end up making, and a lot of RPGs have dialogue choices, we want to make sure that every single dialogue choice that Jason makes matters, that it actually has significance. And so every single choice that you make is actually aligned with the ethos of one of those gods. So for example, one of your dialogue choices might be aggressive and confrontational. That's themed with Ares. And because Ares is watching you at all times, if I make an Ares choice, I'm not only determining how that conversation is going to play out, my favor with Ares is going to go up. If I make a more cunning and manipulative choice, my favor with Hermes is going to go up. So I'm actually leveling up my character with every single dialogue choice that I make throughout the game.
So basically, you're not choosing between good and evil. You don't have 2 choices. Basically, you have 4 choices.
Exactly. We want you to be able to sort of craft your own Jason and not just be, in dialogue, you shouldn't just be solving the puzzle and making the choice the designer wanted you to choose. It should be more about how do I want to play out this particular scenario and how do I want to go through and make these things work.
And that's going to affect the way the story comes through.
It affects the way the story plays out. It also affects the way Jason's going to grow and develop. So it's not just a narrative thing. They're all sort of interwoven into their own thing. In addition, Jason will also go through and be able to gain new equipment and things of the like as you're going throughout the game. But again, the key with that is we wanted to make sure that every piece of equipment mattered. This isn't a game where you're going to be pulling, like a +1 sword out of the guts of a wolf. It's like every piece of equipment you're going to get is going to be significant. It's going to have a story, and the actual impact that it has on gameplay is going to be something that you're going to notice. You're not just going to get a +1 mace. It's going to be a mace that when you shatter a shield, it's going to send back shrapnel that's going to do a bunch of damage and knock people back. It's all things you can see and feel within the world.
So let's talk a little bit about the combat itself. How deep is the hack and slash gameplay?
We really wanted to make sure that, at its core, Jason's a weapon master. So you can see he's got the spear, the sword, and the mace, sort of the classic implements of war from Greek mythology. But there's no menu that you have to go through in order to go through and change between all these things. They're all represented on Jason's body at all times. And so one of the really cool things is you can be in the middle of a combo with a particular weapon, then you just tap the weapon swap button, he'll put his sword away, whip out his spear, and go through into another combo. So you really get a sense of fluidity as you're changing between all those things. The other really cool thing that we do in combat is we've got real-time collision, as I said before, in his shield versus his body. So when Jason goes through, in most games, when you want to block, you just hold down the block button and attacks bounce off you as though it's an invisible force field. Jason's shield is live at all times. So if some guy comes up and attacks me, even if I'm not holding down block, that attack's going to be deflected. Same thing applies if I go through and I hit an enemy's shield. So again, it's sort of the language of combat that you normally see in film and everything else, rather than just sort of, games are the only medium where you can go through and stab a guy in the chest 10 times and they keep coming at you as though nothing ever happened. If you stab someone in Rise of the Argonauts, that guy's going to be crippled, he's going to be wounded, or he's going to be killed, because that's what weapons do. And so we really wanted to go through and capture that. And when a guy gets wounded, you'll actually see them become more beleaguered and stagger around the battlefield, and they'll become more vulnerable. So you don't need a health bar. You don't need all these layers of HUD on top of the game that remind you that you're playing a game. We really want to keep you immersed.
And what kind of enemies are you going to encounter?
There's a wide variety of guys. You'll fight, satyrs, you'll fight minotaurs, which again, these massive creatures they've got. It's really cool. I'll actually see one in a second, where they're actually swinging their blade around, and because their blade is live at all times too, they have live collision. They'll actually, if there's another enemy nearby, they'll actually cut them in half and things along those lines. But there's centaurs and manticores. Part of that's all capturing the fantasy of Greek mythology and bringing all that into play.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the boss battle. This is something you guys put a lot of work into.
Yeah, so the boss we're going to be looking at is Medusa, and she's on Kithra, which is one of the many islands that Jason can go throughout the game. Actually, the sort of structure of the game as a whole is Jason sets out for the Golden Fleece in order to bring his wife back to life. She was killed very early on in the game, and so you travel from island to island, choosing where you want to go to a bunch of different locations.
You can't just get another wife. He was attached to that one. All right.
She's a good wife. You'll see in a second early on. You'll know why he's going. He's willing to go to all this trouble. But so this is Medusa that we're looking at right now. She's basically, every single one of our islands has a massive boss encounter basically at the end. And one of the really cool things about Medusa is, if you learn in the story, she used to be sort of the high priestess of this temple that has since fallen into ruin. And basically she had a vice, which was vanity. She started constructing statues of herself instead of statues to Athena. And so as a result, Athena punished her and transformed her into this hideous creature. And instead of just, Clash of the Titans, snakes for hair Medusa, we actually have these eels that have erupted from her entire back. She's this massive, hideous creature. And she's actually suspended within the arena itself. So we really wanted to go through and dial everything to 11. Part of the epic Greek experience is facing off against impossible odds against these massive creatures and the like. But one of the really cool things about the Medusa battle in particular is she's actually cradling this statue of herself at all times. There's a key moment in the battle where she'll actually drop that statue. And you can choose whether or not you want to try and kill Medusa or actually destroy the symbol of her vanity. And that choice has a whole impact on the story as a whole moving forward. It's either Medusa becomes redeemed or she becomes condemned. That's going to determine what Argonauts end up joining you as you go from island to island. So even at our most action-heavy moments like in these boss battles, it's still an RPG. You're still making meaningful choices that are going to have an impact on the game as a whole.
Well, it looks awesome. We can't wait to see more. Thank you so much for coming by, Charlie.
My pleasure.
All right now let's head back over to Adam.
Can't wait for my Argonauts to rise. It's been over 27 years since the release of the first Wolfenstein on the Apple II, and those pesky Nazis are still up to no good. This go-around, they're after the Black Sun, a mysterious force that could lead the Third Reich to the ultimate victory, and it's up to you to stop them. Here's your all-access pass. Now move out, soldier. While we were down in Dallas at QuakeCon, we took time to talk Wolfenstein with Eric Weissman, the creative director at Raven Software. While the exact plot of the game is still a mystery, he got some tempting hints of what's to come in the latest iteration of the venerated shooter.
Wolfenstein is this intense action shooter with these elements of supernatural and dark science. And in it, players take on the role of B.J. Blazkowicz as he works against the Nazi war machine. The Nazis have discovered this energy source called the Black Sun, and being Nazis, they've turned it towards weapons of mass destruction. And it's up to you to come into the city and stop them.
One of the things we're most looking forward to is wholesale Nazi slaughter. And we're glad to hear that the fighting is just as intense as ever.
Wolfenstein at its core is all about fighting Nazis. So it's not going to be tamed down. It's all about taking guns, throwing grenades, and blowing the crap out of things.
The gameplay in Wolfenstein titles has ranged from stealth to action. But in this upcoming release, it looks like we'll be able to choose what play style fits us best.
We want the player to choose, you know what, I do want to go on a little bit stealthier here because I know it's going to benefit me. Or I really like to just throw grenades and shoot my loudest machine gun as often as I can. So really what it comes down to is how does the player want to approach the situation? And they're going to define what the percentage of stealth versus action really is.
We tried as hard as we could to wrangle a release date from Eric, but we kind of expected the response that we actually got.
You know, the key is that we want to make the best game that we possibly can make, and putting out a release date isn't what we want to do. So really what it comes down to is the game's done when it's done.
A classic id answer for a classic id title. Well, whenever Wolfenstein comes out, you can bet we'll be there for all the Nazi killing action.
Coming up on X-Play, pro gamer T-Squared is back with some explosive tips for Call of Duty 4 that are guaranteed to help you rack up the kills. Then Yahtzee's back with another zero punctuation review, and we have a sneak peek. Don't miss his skewering of the Prince of Persia franchise. Plus, the creators of the Xbox classic Crimson Skies are back, and they have a jetpack with your name on it. Get ready for some intense vertical cover action in our Dark Void preview.
So I'm really excited about the Rock Band 2 set list. There's my favorite band, Paramore, there's AC/DC, there's Bon Jovi, there's Guns N' Roses. So I was wondering, what song excites you guys the most?
Welcome back to X-Play. Thanks for your question, Matt.
It's a good set list.
It's a really good set list.
You guys should check it out. If you haven't seen it, just go to the internet.
And you just read it, and about half of those songs will get stuck in your head immediately just by looking at the title of it. So, what's your pick?
I'm gonna go White Wedding. I'm kind of excited about that, Billy Idol.
Yeah.
A little growling in the song.
All right, and then the high-pitched stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, since you're going with White Wedding, I'm going with Journey. Because I've learned as a grown adult, you can finally shamelessly indulge a love of Journey that you couldn't back when you were a teenager.
I love Journey.
I do too.
I say it loud and proud.
Yay.
Oh, actually, Harmonix is going to be here live on set to demo this on Friday. So if you guys are curious about the game, you should definitely check that out.
Yes, and we won't sing. No one from G4 is singing. We've learned our lesson.
No. Now, there are a multitude of ways to take down your opponents in Call of Duty 4's multiplayer. One of the lesser exploited methods is death by Claymore, or C4. Pro gamer T-Squared is here with some explosive tips that will have your friends calling you Demolition Man.
What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Taylor. But you know me as T-Squared. I'm captain of the MLG team, Straight Rippin'. I've got the Call of Duty 4 tips that I have you fragging like a pro. The first tip is simple. Never leave home without your claymores. I repeat, never leave home without your claymores. Claymores are your best friend. They're like eyes in the back of your head. They give you a loud heads up when someone's trying to rush your position. So you can kick back, relax, and know that your ass is covered. Then you can concentrate on killing the stupid noobs right in front of you. I heart noobs. The drawback of claymores is the time it takes to plant one when the enemies are bearing down on your position. But I have a way you can skip this animation altogether. When you plant the claymore, hit either of your bumpers. You know, those buttons that chuck grenades? You'll plant the claymore instantly. One note of caution though, make sure you're out of grenades or you're gonna end up blowing yourself up to pieces. Otherwise, you'll be the stupid noob. Now, if you've taken one too many headshots and carrying around claymores isn't your thing, and for the love of God, it should be, then I got a tip for all you C4 lovers out there. After you plant the C4, you don't have to just sit there with a detonator in your hand wasting time. Switch to your gun and get to killing. But it takes too long to switch back to your detonator. Well, guess what? You can blow up the C4 without switching back to your detonator. Just double press the X button. You'll end up reloading whatever gun you're carrying back to your detonator. Boom! One less stupid noob in the world, and you'll be blowing away the competition.
One less stupid noob, that's a good thing. Now, sometimes the only way I can make it through the week is to inject myself with scathing anger mixed with unbridled honesty. My dealer, well, Yahtzee Croshaw. My drug, 0 punctuation reviews. It's time for a fix.
The sequel, Warrior Within, had vastly improved combat, but unfortunately everything else had been beaten with the angsty stick and forced to write poetry with a pen full of black eyeliner. It seems that Ubisoft decided that emo culture was in, so they went around the office one morning and fired everyone who was smiling. The prince was suddenly staring out from under a black Robert Smith fringe and growling angry threats at supercilious badass action girls, showing off more flesh than a surgeon's convention. The tonal shift was so unnecessary and contemptible that a critical paddling session followed, which was a shame because the environments were still nice and the gameplay was better than ever. It just goes to show, never stick your in a pudding. It might still be good pudding and you can spend all afternoon explaining that, but no one's going to eat it because you stuck your in it. The very serious and angry Warrior Within made fans of the first game's lightness of tone very angry and serious, which is ironic when you think about it, and it was with rare wisdom that Ubisoft cocked an ear and wound the angst back in time for the third game, Two Thrones. On paper it looked like everything we'd hoped for, the Arabian aesthetic and lightheartedness of Sands of Time combined with the refined gameplay of Warrior Within, but then a lot of things look good on paper, like the little blue dolphin patterns on my toilet roll that fail to distract from the issue that I'm wiping my arse with it.
I'm in the nut house. I'm in the nut house. I'm in the nut house, and then I gotta let me out of here.
Remember, you can get Zero Punctuation's full uncensored Prince of Persia retrospective only at escapistmagazine.com. And X-Play will have new previews every Tuesday night.
Now, when X-Play returns, we preview Dark Void. Keep it here. We'll be back. Welcome back to X-Play. The team that brought you Crimson Skies is letting you take to the air again, but this time, there's no plane. In Dark Void, you get to strap on a jetpack and hop into another dimension filled with an alien race that's just begging to be killed. Get into the action with this preview. What do you get when you cross a Rocketeer-esque hero with a pissed-off alien race intent on killing the human race? E3 revealed the answer with Capcom's newest alien shooter, Dark Void. You play as Will, a cargo plane pilot, who during a routine flight gets lost in the Bermuda Triangle and ends up in the alien realm, the Void. There's just one problem. The Void is also inhabited by a violent alien race, the Watchers. In this world, aliens have enslaved humans and rule society. Fortunately, a resistance human fighter group, the Survivors, has formed, enlisting you to join their cause and escape. Dark Void offers a unique approach to third-person shooters by introducing vertical cover combat and a variety of gameplay. You'll need to climb, swing, and shoot while ascending dizzying heights. Use the grip system to scale rocks, grab aliens, and hurl them over cliffs. Will can acquire both a hover pack for flying in spurts and eventually a jetpack, which provides plenty of cool aerial graphics and gives a free fall element to ambushing enemies. The real fun begins when you utilize your pilot's license to fly UFOs, pull yourself onto moving crafts, seize control, and shoot down assailing ships in a good old-fashioned alien dogfight. Gamers have the freedom to come up with their own strategy and creative approach to kicking alien tail. There's no set path, and the lack of a damage meter is replaced by an information display, which tells you when you may need to seek refuge to heal. Dark Void sets up the potential franchise series. Gamers can pop a Dramamine when Dark Void releases in the spring of 2009.
You know, best part about Dark Void?
What's that?
It's the return of Ed Freeze from Microsoft. He helped launch the original Xbox. Welcome back. Starting Thursday, 360 owners can download the new X-Play Weekly exclusively on Xbox Live every week.
Now, this edition features our review of Madden NFL 09, and our take might surprise you. Plus, scores of Will Wright and The Force Unleashed.
Tomorrow on X-Play, we'll review Space Siege, the out-of-this-world RPG from the creators of Dungeon Siege that offers you cybernetic upgrades at the cost of your humanity. We'll tell you if the price is too high. Plus, Kristen Holt has a cheat for Madden NFL 09 that will have you running the ball like a Super Bowl champ. All that and more, tomorrow at 8. And on Thursday, we head to LucasArts for our behind-the-scenes look at Star Wars The Force Unleashed. Only X-Play has exclusive new details and never-before-seen footage from the final build of the game. Don't miss this all-access journey inside the latest chapter of the Star Wars trilogy in what could be the best Star Wars game ever. Then, on Friday, X-Play goes hands-on with Rock Band 2 as we crank it up with the game's creators and Attack of the Show's Kevin Pereira. Don't miss it.
Kevin was rocking out there a little bit.
Yeah, he does. Believe it or not, he has some rock and roll in him.
Yeah.
Up next, check out Unbeatable Banzuke.
Thanks for watching.